We're doing the Meshilat Yesharim. We're towards the end of it. Chapter 21. Leilul Nishmat Parvin Bat Chaim.
Amen.
So he says to be a real Hasid, Tzarich Ha'adam Sheit Boded Bechadarav. He says a person needs to take private time in his private study and to use all his resources to have introspection. I mean, especially in our age, Shani, there's so much fakeness out there. So he says a person really needs to have the integrity to know, am I really in love with God, or I'm just in love with my stomach or my instant gratification. Now, oh, you don't know, I'm so happy because Shavuot is literally this next week, in the next few days. And the Ramchal is telling you one of the best ways to become a chassid, to have the real authentic, the real McCoy, love and fear of God, is to read Tehilim. Now, unfortunately, there's many Persian Jews. The Ramchal is saying that.
Says that by reading Tehilim?
Yeah, he says, first of all, right, practice makes... Okay, by the way, I want to say something that Rav Volby said when I was learning in the mirror to one of my chavrusas. It's something very important to understand, especially this book. Practice makes perfect. Because one of my friends had finished all the Mesat Yesharim just in Elulzman, the first semester in yeshiva, that first 5 weeks. Right? Because we have 1 month of Elul and then the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. He was able to finish Mesat Yesharim. So Rav Volby said, go learn Mesat Yesharim 40 times. The 41st time is going to practically start to impact you. So that's a very important thing. Which means Rav Volby talks about this a lot. The Bali Musar talk about this a lot. Greatness in Judaism it's not like an on and off switch. Overnight I just become Moshe Rabbeinu, like this star, this hero, this grand servant of Hashem, lover, and Eved Hashem. No. Practice makes perfect. Again. Now, one of the things... Now, by the way, we're in this Kabbalistically, the last week of the Omer is Malchut. Malchut is the mouth. You have to understand that the ultimate chassid that was able to verbalize the love of God and the connection to God is David, which is the fourth Merkava to Shekhinah. So I'm just saying, I'm so overwhelmingly happy that we're able to connect. We see that God is on our side, that we're able to make that bridge, and Mesilah is going into Tehilim. He says that it's not enough to read Tehilim constantly, but you have to learn it in depth. Like today I had the big zechut of talking to the Kol I established in Israel, in my son-in-law's second Seder Koilel, on my father's name, Tiferet Shlomo, in Noam HaTorah. So I said, in Tehilim it says, Torah Hashem Temima, Meshivat Nafesh, right? Tehilim 19 says, the Torah of Hashem is complete, it soothes the soul. So the Midrash Tehilim there says, the Socher Tov says, Matai Temima, Matai Mishav Nefesh, when did the Torah told to really soothe your soul? And mesmerize you and hypnotize you and make you so elevated? When it's in completion. But when the Torah is like a salad bar, or when we know that there's a whole sex scandal also in the yeshiva high school happened. A 38-year-old woman, supposedly she slept with a dozen or half a dozen other boys. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter says the biggest mistake people think is that the Shulchan Aruch is only one volume, but there's also Hilchot Tzniut, Hilchot Yichud, which God willing I'm going to have to prepare that year and give on Shavuot night. What I'm trying to say is, the Ramchal here, bottom line, is saying that the personification of piousness, there was a living being that under all circumstances never complained, never kicked like Eov, David, the reason why he deserved to be Mashiach, the Zohar says, is because God threw every possible tragedy, curveball challenge at him. His own kid wanted to kill him, Avshalom. His father-in-law wanted to kill him. Everybody wanted to kill him. But still, he wrote 150 love, romantic songs praising Hashem. So let's read it, Shani. Hine vadai she'azruz vehiyun b'mizmorei David alav shalom. Mizmorei David alav shalom means what? Tehilim. Ve'itbonenut bahem. And it's not enough to go in depth in Tehilim. You need to also contemplate and meditate in Tehilim. Ve'inyanam. Read the midrashim on it. Rav Pinchas is has a beautiful Pirush on Tehilim. He brings beautiful stories and Ki biyoto kulam meleim ahava v'yirah v'chol minei chasidut. The whole Tehilim is our guidebook of what? Loving God, fearing God, and becoming a Hasid. By the way, I want to tell you something. There's somebody that they think he may be Mashiach because he's just such an amazing figure. They call him the Yanuka of Shimon Yehuda. I don't know if you've seen him. He said something from the main Mefarshim. One of the main Mefarshim of this Bala Sulam is one of the main Mefarshim on the Zohar is called the Bala Sulam, Rav Ashlag. He was a big Mekubal. So he says a fascinating thing. He says he brings a raya from the Zohar that whoever is always able to say Gamze Latova, not like curse out God or complain to God and say, oh, God is unfair, I want, right? Like kick at Yisurim. That's the defining factor that makes you Sadiq. Because Matztiket Adin. Sadiq, he holds the Bala Sulam, he proves from the Zohar, based on King David's life. Sadiq comes is that you're righteous because Matztiket Adin. Even when God judges you and throws you curveballs, you say, it's my sin. Hashem is the righteous one. Right? Because what's the knee-jerk reaction? God, if you love me, why you make me suffer so much? So the Yanuka says over there that the Rasha is the person that always kicks God. He only, because there's actually in the Midrash Tehilim brings a scary thing. It says in Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylonia, that ended up destroying the second temple, there was a time that he was very, very, very successful. He had basically conquered the whole world. He wrote a book that was even nicer than Tehilim. So the Midrash says...
What does that mean, nicer than Tehilim?
It was more romantic. It was more poetic.
Okay.
But it says Hashem didn't let it be printed. Because the second that he went down, he cursed God. Ooh. So you understand? It's a package. That's what the Bala Sulam, the Yanuka, quoted. It was a scary thing. It made my hair rise on my thing. That it comes out that, of course, according to the Rambam and Halacha, Tzaddik is a person that has more mitzvahs than sins, right? Mm-hmm. More positive, he does more good than evil. But according to this understanding of the Bala Sulam in the Zohar, a tzaddik is a person that always is able to be matzdik et adin, to say Hashem is right. Everything is for the good, right? Gamze letova, no matter what. He says reading Tehilim is so precious because if you read it in depth and understand the true meaning for it, it makes you want to walk in the pathways of David, of King David, our Mashiach, and be like him. Oh, well. He says there's another wonderful way to become a true Hasid is read the life of Tzaddikim. Or like the Agarata in the Talmud Bavli and Yerushalmi. Because it causes you to emulate them, right? You should know. There's a Gra, I think. The Baalei Machshava say that the Torah starts off, it's all stories of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, right? Adam. But the Torah's laws. Torah, both in Nistar and Nigla. Why is it starting with stories? If Torah is all about commandments, Because it's, again,
What I mean, there's a lot to learn from that.
exactly. No, I'm saying also psychologically and subconsciously, we human beings can connect and integrate and integrate and metamorphosize and change more when we emulate somebody, a living being, right? That's the whole concept of Gadol Shimusha Yosem Limuda, right? Learning Torah, what we're doing is great, but there's even a higher level that affects you more powerfully when you serve a Talmid Chacham, right? Actually, my Rebbe, Harav, the great Mashkiach Aparat Yosef, and the great student of the Chazon Ish and Rav Dessler, Rav Ben David, was saying something scary. He brought a lot of midrashim that Yehoshua deserved to become the successor of Moshe, not based on his wisdom, on his IQ, but based on Yehoshua. Yeshua that conquered the land of Israel and that was the successor of Moshe, based on his Shimush Tamdei Chachamim. You understand? Baruch Hashem, I'm just so happy because I was actually telling a few people this. One of the practical Shimush Tamdei Chachamim of nowadays is reading stories of Gedolim, biographies of Gedolim. Why? Because you see in real life how they incorporated and carried out the Torah. You understand? Mm-hmm. So again, just to review, because we've been in Hasidut for a long, like half a year, maybe a year. You know, the Mesilas Yesharim, the Chevron...
It's good to learn it and understand it
well. No. But we're trying... The Ramchal's bringing something, a very sharp point here. There's a lot of parts of Torah are very mysterious and could be carried out, miscalculated. Mm-hmm. He's saying... reading Tehilim and reading about the life of David, which was a real Hasid. So you have to kind of like compare and contrast if you want to be a real Hasid, you have to be like David. Or read the stories of the Agaritas, of how like Ravina, Ravashi, all the Gedolim, the Tanoim, the Amoraim, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Akiva, to the Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, to Rabbi Sol Salanter, to the biography of the Gedolim, Rav Shach, Rav Ovadia, right? Chacham Ben Sion. It makes a greater impression. And we'll do one more paragraph. He says, what causes you not to be a chassid, to lose your special gloss? That's being bogged down and worried. When you get too obsessed in your business, and you think that making money is the main thing, or you're worried about the future, you have no time to meditate and do introspection to perfect your chassidut. Right? The whole Musar is based on hispainenus. Don't be a superficial person. Be deeper. Right? Remember that whole shit I just gave you? It was like a fascinating Musar. Nobody realized that the source of all the evil that destroyed the first Beit HaMikdash is a very deep thing you should know. It wasn't the Avodah Zarah, which means Avodah Zarah was the symptom. The sickness was that they learned Torah, but they weren't Machshav Torah. They wouldn't make a bracha Torah. That was all Bach that explains that. He says, without being a deep thinker. And every night, guys, I have to start doing this, or maybe from tonight I'll start doing it. Every night we have to take up footnotes. What did I do today? Dwell deeper. See, Shani, actually, I want to tell you guys something. The older I'm getting close to 50, I realize, and Baruch Hashem, I'm learning Choshen Mishpat, and I'm learning also Otzrot HaChaim of the Ari. I'm realizing more and more, there's a reason behind everything. There's a subconscious reason. There's spiritual reasons. Mm-hmm. There's subconscious reasons why we do act and play out. Things play out in a certain way. You understand? And it's these words are golden. Without introspection, holding your horses, sometimes auditing yourself, going to the deeper reasons, you can never become a Hasid. And I would say even a Hasid, Tzaddik, in our day and age. And he says, even if you have it, you'll lose it. Look what he's saying. Afilu hasigo kfar. I mean, Shani, every day of our life is a war. So let's say a person broke all the barriers, broke all the glass ceilings. He's an awesome Hasid. But you know, life is not
staying there, but keeping it.
Yeah, he says, unless you continue doing the hitbonenut and learning musar and growing, because like the Gra says, Orachaim lamala lamaskil. Mishlei says, you always have to be striving greater and greater. If you just plateau, it's like swimming. If you stay still, you'll drown.
Yeah.
It's like an elevator life.
No, it's like an escalator going down. If you're not fighting against it to go up, you're
exactly. Or an elevator. You're going up or down. You can't stay the same. Believe me. Believe me. I know people that were in Kollel 10 years. Mm-hmm. Exactly this.
They lost it.
They act just like people that were never in Kollel. Because they stopped learning Musar, they stopped learning, it didn't become the main focus of their life, you know. It's shocking. I mean, you know, there's tremendous tiyukim in each word of the Ramchal. He says, "Vafilu hasigo kfar." Hine hatirdot machrikot esechel marvivot oto ve'enon manichot oto leitchazek be'ira v'ava v'shar inyanim v'ashayachim el chasidut. He says, once you get bogged down and workaholic and worried, and marbe nechasim, marbe da'agot, then all these wonderful backbones of our relationship with God, which is fear, which the fear isn't literally fear, it's reverence, respecting God, right? We're trying to get yirat haromemut, not yirat ha'onesh. And all these go down the drain. The Shechina doesn't come from atzvut, sadness, and atzlut, which is being a workaholic and not running after, and not from, making fun, and not from lightheadedness, only from simcha shal mitzvah. And he says even worse than workaholism is being drowned in instant gratification and pleasures and wanting to have filet mignon and all the kebab and sharab and the most cheesecake. I mean, cheesecake also is very heavy stuff. You should know, Pi Kabbalah, during the week is better to be a vegetarian, not to have, meat, red meat. Chicken you could have and fish, but red meat is better not to have during the week.
That's so funny. I mean,
Nachman of Breslov happens to say that, okay, nowadays, the Marchu brings that there's a lot of things one should be careful with if he wants to go start learning Kabbalah, because Sod, the secrets of the Torah.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I, by nature, just because of where I am, I don't really have access to meats.
Yeah, exactly.
It happens to be by nature I'm vegetarian during the week every time anyway.
Yeah, good. Ashrecha. So anyways, he basically ends, let's just end the shir with this. He says, when you are addicted to luxury pleasure and physical enjoyments, those are the antithesis of Hasidut. Hem hafchim mamash el Hasidut. And actually the words of my Rebbe, Arav Ben David, are coming to Harav Ben David says this thousands of times. Because basically, you have to imagine all these physical pleasures, if you're not doing it 100% l'shem shamayim and with zer ampin and tiferet in moderation, you could get addicted to it and then you just fall into that, It's kind of like how the Rashash and the Ben Ishchai brings from Marana Rashash, how it's so hard a lot of times to bench. Because when you eat double as much, you overindulge, then you're like, ugh. And then, like we said in our first year, the only bracha that's from Torah is benching. Yeah. But it's so hard to do it appropriately. Yeah. Because when Vesar mikol inyane prishut v'adiyot ha'emet. What happens is when you get too physical, right? When you drown in instant gratification and earthly pleasures, then it's like the opposite of our previous thing, perishut, which we talked about, which means, you become more animal than angel, and you've kind of missed the boat.
Missed the boat.
Thank you, and have a wonderful day.
Wow. You should know